their outfits before going on TV. Let's go around the horn. Today, winning you're in. Winning you're in. Win and maybe win and who knows? Here's one thing we do know. Not playing, not happy about it. Let's go around the horn. Best week in college. Let's do this.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nothing funnier than kids getting stuck in hedges.
Gotta get out with that.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter.
Yeah.
Here's
News of the
Tony
day,
Reale.
Jimbo Fisher resigning from Florida State, going to Texas A&M. And news of the day, Tennessee is still a mess. Which one do you want to start with? Woody Page, I defer to you. You want Tennessee? Let's do that. Athletic Director John Currie fired today. No coach in sight. This is how that went about. Brett McMurphy reporting former coach Phil Fulmer will take over as AD. Admits they shoot themselves in the foot, cock the gun, shoot themselves in the other foot scenario. So that's what's going on. Woody, again, I say this is your alma mater. This is where you got your start. Where is Tennessee right now, and what will this do for the coaching search?
Well, they're finally moving out of the weeds and back to their roots. And I tweeted this morning that Phil Fulmer should be named the athletic director, at least for the interim time, and try and repair what's gone on. And I said last week, was most disgraceful era in the history of Tennessee football. I think that Fulmer will turn back to someone who has connections with Tennessee. There's talk about David Cutcliffe, who was the offensive coordinator under Phil Fulmer. But I think T. Martin, who played quarterback for Fulmer, is the right choice. He was the quarterback after Peyton Manning, who led them to the national championship, their last time they were really that powerful of a college football program. I think you bring back T. Martin from USC, and you get this program back on the right track to where it used to be in the SEC.
So you think all signs point towards this being a Tennessee guy leading Tennessee, both Fulmer and the AD, but now bringing back maybe Martin as coach. Let's go to Israel Gutierrez.
I'm not sure if this was the smart move. At this point, it's the only move. You have to sort of appease these fans and give them some reason to feel comfort. And how do they do that? Names that they're familiar with. Phil Fulmer. Oh, T. Martin. Sure, because this has been a train wreck. And they really need to be thankful that they're in the SEC and have that association, because this is one of those situations that could turn you into a once proud program into a team that's never going to see the light of day again when it comes to being an elite program. You've got them chanting at basketball games, "Fire Curry." You've got everything. You've got people being interviewed in Tennessee saying we are a laughing stock. Really need to fix this, and the best way to do it is with people that you know.
Pablo Torre, you agree with that?
Well, I don't know if they have a choice at this point. I mean, if they have decided that Phil Fulmer is in any way the guy to lead them out of the desert and back into another desert that they're probably a little bit more familiar with, which is comforting on some level to Israel's point, the reality is, who else is going to want that job outside of one of Phil Fulmer's really good friends? Like, if you're watching all of this unfold and you see that since 2009, as Matt Norlander at CBS pointed out, they've had 6 football coaches, 4 basketball coaches, 4 ADs, and now this palace intrigue bringing back this figure from the past. Why would anyone who's not a friend of Phil Fulmer want in on this? And so, yeah, they have not much of a choice other than to get one of those guys. And good luck with that. It's just not going to be one of those high upside moves. It's something that'll make you feel a little bit warmer than you did before.
And Kay Fagan?
Yeah, but at least potential candidates will see that there is a change and there is someone new in there as opposed to everything that had been happening over the last few months. So at least that would give them some reprieve about thinking, okay, perhaps things are changing into a new direction here. Now, if I'm Phil Fulmer, I actually want to maybe call a slight timeout here, because I know all we're talking about is football, but he is now the AD of an entire collection of college sports teams. And when Tennessee was its best, they were good at a lot of things. And there seemed to be a culture in there. And now I'm talking about the 90s among a lot of the programs in Tennessee that was distinct from the one that we have now. So if I'm him, I call a quick timeout. I actually reevaluate across all of my teams before I want to know who I want to bring in as a football coach who will mesh with all of that.
Does Tennessee have that type of time? I guess we're hearing about the recruiting that's going on right now. Early recruiting, as it is done, Israel Gutierrez in the next 2 weeks.
You know what also makes you feel slightly warmer, Pablo? Urinating on yourself. And I do believe that Tennessee could have bungled this so much that it's not fixable but with Phil Fulmer, because as Kate said, there's an entire program here, and they're bringing this guy to fix the football program, but he's the AD, so they might have messed this up still.
No.
Wow.
I liked where that went. Wow.
Yeah, you really made a mess of that. Israel Gutierrez. I don't even know how to score that. I think we're just going to move on to the other news of the day. Jimbo Fisher. You sensed Jimbo Fisher news was coming all week. I saw the photo of his Christmas tree out on the curb this morning. I think that was a sign that he was going to resign Florida State, move on to Texas A&M. Now that it's happening, Israel, does it make sense to you?
Oh, it makes sense to me if I'm Jimbo Fisher. If you look at the landscape of football in Florida, first of all, you got Miami seemingly back on the rise. You got the Gators resetting their program. You've got great coaches in Scott Frost here. You got USF over there. And all of a sudden he's looking at, $7 million in Texas where there are as many good recruits as there are in Florida. And I don't have to follow up what Bobby Bowden did. I'm out of here.
Pablo Torre, that how you see it?
Well, if it's about the money, then it's about the money. He's getting a huge raise and the kind of job security that any capitalistic individual would want, but I don't know if I buy the idea that Jimbo Fisher is mostly scared of Florida and the recruiting battles therein. This doesn't add up completely to me. I feel like there's something else about the dynamic at FSU that we don't fully understand yet, because whether or not it's really hard to compete inside of Florida, it's not like Texas is that much easier. And it's certainly not that much easier when you have to revive a program, though, that hasn't been relevant in a really long time.
Kate Fagan?
Yeah, but what makes it easier is the facilities at Texas A&M, which are top-notch and better than the ones that you had at Florida State, not to mention what Izzy mentioned. You've got a plethora of recruits right in your backyard. You're a short flight to California as opposed to cross-country. You're going to be able to get guys from California to Texas. This makes sense from a football perspective, both for Fisher and for Texas A&M, because they got a guy who, even if he hasn't been great the last couple of years, has a national championship on his resume. So if you're looking at it strictly from football, it makes sense from both sides.
I always love getting my geography lessons from sports writers. So a short flight, Texas to California. Short flight.
Yeah.
All right,
it's
Kate,
shorter
sure.
than it was from Florida.
Go ahead, Woody Page.
Well, Florida people don't recruit in California, and Texas people don't recruit in California either. It's a 2.5-hour plane ride, so I don't know about that, but I think the move is a good one for him. He's moved into a situation where he can compete with Texas, which hasn't been considerable of influence in the Southwest in a long time. So I think he moves into a good situation where they want him. They're going to pay him a lot of money, and he had to get out of Florida State after that train got on that track, because players now are wanting to bail if he stayed, and the fans had turned on him. So he had to make this move after he started talking about it. So I think it makes sense for him now to go there and try and win what he did in Florida State, a national championship. And I think he can do it in the Southeastern Conference West. As difficult as it may be, Texas A&M has been a factor since it's moved over.
Israel, last word?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what Pablo's talking about over there. Texas A&M's been pretty relevant. They just had Johnny Manziel winning the Heisman. They're trying to build on that momentum and still salvage it after losing.
I think they're more than trying to be relevant. 10 years, $75 million. I think is trying to be more than relevant. I mean,
Johnny Manziel, recruit on him.
Got to be national championship money. All right, you guys, you're wearing the same outfit, so don't fight with each other. It's too confusing. We're gonna move on. Enough of this talk. Let's talk games. Hit the music. TCU, Oklahoma, Georgia, Auburn, Miami, Clemson, and Ohio State, Wisconsin. Pablo, let's start here. Are all those 4 conference championship game winners getting into the playoff?
I don't think that's close to guaranteed. I think Alabama is coming for either the Big Ten slot or the Big 12 slot. And the only one to keep them out is Wisconsin if they're super impressive in beating Ohio State. Because 2-loss Ohio State, in my opinion, does not knock out Alabama. And TCU, if they win, that doesn't knock out Alabama either. So for programming reasons, right, if you're a TV producer in that committee as well as an evaluator of football teams,
I've heard
you're
this
thinking
one
to
before.
yourselves, is Wisconsin really more compelling than Alabama? And are they better than Alabama head-to-head? In my opinion, Wisconsin
So you would put Alabama with 1 loss over Wisconsin undefeated and having just beaten Ohio State, number 8 team in the country.
Number 65 as it stands in strength of schedule. And if you're telling me that Wisconsin's a better team than Alabama, I will refrain for politeness from laughing in the face of the
I will tell you that they have a better resume if they're undefeated. Let's go to Kate Fagan here after Pablo Torre. I'm going to give you some points for making the argument, but whether you proved your opinion to Kate, we'll see.
Yeah, well, this is the problem, is we have the same discussion in the college football playoff that we do when we talk about the MVP in the NBA. We get into the semantics discussion about is it the most deserved or is it the absolute best teams? Because if you're looking at college football, Pablo's right. The best team is still Alabama. You can't tell me anybody wouldn't say on a neutral field, Alabama versus Wisconsin or Alabama versus Miami or Alabama versus Georgia, and they wouldn't think that they're going to pick Alabama to win that game. So the College Football Playoff Committee has a really tough choice about what it is going to value after this weekend. I think if Ohio State wins and beats Wisconsin, I think Alabama's in. Obviously, TCU, if they win, they help out Alabama a lot because I don't think TCU is getting in no matter what. So there are all kinds of scenarios still at play here where Alabama is making that top 4.
There's all types of scenarios in this show. One of those scenarios is Pablo or Kate didn't see Alabama versus Auburn last week. Go ahead, Woody Page.
Well, as Israel said, or Pablo, I don't know. I can't tell them apart.
How dare
I totally disagree, though, that whoever wins these games, these should be, Tony, you keep talking about it should be an 18 playoff. Well, it is this year.
16.
We've got an 18 playoff. You got 4 conference championship games, and the winner should go to the semifinals of the college playoff championship. It's that simple. If it's TCU, they deserve to go. If it's Ohio State, they deserve to go. You go, Alabama didn't win a conference championship. You can tell me Ohio State didn't last year. Well, they made a mistake then. You correct it here. This year, don't send anybody but conference champions. Let the 4 winners go. I don't want to hear about TCU.
That's what you would hope for. That's what you would believe. But in reality, if TCU were to beat Oklahoma, you would have TCU jump all the way up to the top 4.
Sure, I would. I mean, they would be revenging their loss to Oklahoma. Okay. Yes, they lost 2 games, but you're going to have a 2-team loss in Auburn. And yes, they're probably the best team in the country.
Israel,
right now.
How about you?
It's how you finish, not how you start.
Look, if Ohio State beats Wisconsin, it's an opportunity for the committee to flex their muscles and say, this is why we're here. We're not just going to read records or look at conference championship winners or read resumes. We're going to decide with our eyes who the 4 best teams are. And the Big Ten was just not that good, so they don't deserve one. That's the way I would look at it. I wouldn't even say it the other way with the ACC, right? Where you look at Miami, if they beat Clemson, you say, should they vault back in? I say yes, because you've got Auburn there with 2 losses strictly on the strength of beating the number 1 team twice when they played them. Miami will have beaten Clemson, so they get in. I don't necessarily think Ohio State does.
Pablo, you want to address that?
Well, I'll add that, speaking of the Auburn-Alabama game, if that game happened months ago, as opposed to just recently, we wouldn't be having this conversation. There is a tremendous recency bias in how we evaluate who is ahead of each other in the horse race, when it's really supposed to be about quality.
I'll give you points for that. That's a fair point. Real quick, speaking of quality, UCF could win Saturday, beat a team that's in the top 25, go undefeated, lead the country in points per game, and still not even sniff the top 4. How do you console UCF fans, Israel, in your state?
It's really difficult. Just enjoy the memories, because you're probably not going to get in, and you're probably not even going to have your coach for much longer. Whew, just enjoy it.
I said console. It's really difficult. You know what's really difficult? This is really difficult. We're taking a break right here. Buy or sell in 2 minutes. What do we think?
Around Horn is brought to you by Walmart. Rock
7 under for the tournament. That's near the top of the leaderboard. Woody, are you buying Tiger Woods stock yet?
Not quite. Not like my guy in Vegas who has dropped him from 101 to win the Masters to 15-1 based on playing this easy track in Nassau. Nah, I need to see it at a tougher course under different circumstances.
I saw that. 100-1 to win the Masters this year to 15-1. Go ahead, Israel Gutierrez.
In what other sport do we ask a guy who's going to turn 42 this year to say, go ahead and relive and get back to the great level that you were at the peak of your career? No other sport. All we ask, even in boxing, when you get older guys come in, it's just want them to put on a show one time. And that's what I think we're at with Tiger now. Every once in a while, if you can come in and put on a show and remind us who you were, then that's good. But back, he'll never be back.
Pablo Torre.
The Hero World Challenge sounds like an obscure video game on Sega Dreamcast. And Tiger Woods is the guy running it. It's for his foundation. So if there's any enthusiasm around Tiger right now, and there is, this is a perfect sell-high opportunity. I will take the field when it comes to Tiger Woods versus the world.
Mm-hmm. And how about you, Kate Fagan?
I'm buying Tiger Woods stock if it's a penny stock. But if I have to buy baked into it part of the old Tiger Woods cost, part of his previous company, then I'm not. But I'm all for the long shot. If he'd stayed at 100-1, I'd be all about it. But I'm not paying that premium price for Tiger Woods.
Buy or sell 2, Green Bay Packers practicing Aaron Rodgers tomorrow. What Mike McCarthy called it was a trial return. He's not eligible to come off IR until week 15, so he can't play for 2 more weeks. Israel, Buy or sell how the Packers are playing this year?
Oh, I'm absolutely buying it. If you look at Football Outsiders, they say they've got a 5% chance to make the playoffs still, okay? 5%, that's all I need. If they can possibly get him back at the end, right before the playoffs, then you have a chance to win a championship because that guy's your quarterback. So absolutely.
But hold on, 5% sounds promising, but the goal of the Packers is not to get a wild card game, it's to win titles. And so if that 5% chance jeopardizes Aaron Rodgers' long-term health, that is a huge problem. So I would urge an abundance of caution for them.
Okay, Fagan.
Yeah, because the two opponents coming up after he would be back on the roster would be Carolina. They have 32 sacks. Then Minnesota, they have 30 sacks. So you're talking about two teams that really get after the quarterback, and you've got Aaron Rodgers out there with a recently fixed shoulder. It just doesn't seem like a great recipe right now for the Packers.
Woody Page.
I'm going with Kate, not the guys that are members in a boy band. If they were to win the next 3 games and place themselves in a position, wouldn't you want to continue to go with the quarterback that won 3 consecutive games? No, you don't go back to him. You don't risk him. They're not going to be in a situation to win anyway.
Buy or sell 3. Question, who is shooting better from 3 this year? LeBron James or Steph Curry? Anybody?
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
43-37. Kate was loudest. Pablo was most bothered by the question. He gets the point as well.
Thank you.
Had people asking if LeBron is going to be in the three-point contest this year. He says no. Here's how he said it. Not when I could spend a Saturday night at home with my family. Games in Los Angeles this year, where his family lives. Pablo, should LeBron feel obligated to attend these events?
So I want him to do this because LeBron doing physical challenges of any kind is just compelling television, but I don't even want him in the three-point contest. I want him in the dunk contest. Those blocks last night, he had his hand above the square. He was volleyball spiking Torian Green. That was absurd. Put him in that before he does the three-point thing.
Okay, Fagan.
I mean, how greedy can we be for more LeBron James? Like, he's already given us, 215 plus postseason games of bonus LeBron James in addition to the 82 games that he plays. We already get so much LeBron James that I'm all right if he's like, you know what, I just need the night off. That's fine.
There's never enough LeBron. He's with his family. Do this. Get a car. Take your family there and let them watch you shoot 3-pointers. Have a family night at the arena. That makes sense to me.
Gutierrez.
Pablo, it was Torian Prince, and the reason I know that is because the announcer said that's what a king does to a prince, and it was amazing. But I will say this to LeBron. Listen, it's so much fun if you were to participate in the three-point shooting contest. You could have nights at home with your family all year round. If you go back and look at yourself in that three-point shooting contest, regardless of the result.
Horn is brought to you by PlayStation 4. Greatness awaits.
Greatness awaits for Kate Fagan and Woody Page. Best of luck in Showdown. Panthers Saints Sunday for the outright lead in the NFC South. New Orleans beat them earlier in the year in Carolina. Woody, Panthers have a chance Sunday?
I'm giving them a puncher's chance for 2 reasons. They played 500, 10-10 in the Superdome. They're not intimidated. And plus, they are preparing for that up-tempo, hurry-up offense unlike they did at home. They're ready for it.
Yeah, I'm giving them a chance, but I think the Saints are going to win this one. I think the Panthers are just starting to get their vertical attack back, but I don't think they're on the same page. And Drew Brees absolutely lit them up last time, and I expect him to do the same.
You didn't really give him much of a chance, Kate. The next word out of your mouth was, I got the Saints in this one. It was like literally a tenth of a second. Well, give the point to Woody Page. Showdown 2. All the smoke around Giancarlo Stanton to the Giants. John Heyman reported San Fran's willing to take some, if not all, the $250 million Stanton is owed. Kate, should Giancarlo waive a no-trade clause to play for the team that had the worst record in baseball last year?
Yeah, I feel that when you incorporate a no-trade clause into your contract, it is actually for the sole reason of when you might get traded to the worst team in baseball, you can say nope. So that's what I think he should do here is say no.
Of course he wants to go there. This is the 7th highest salaried team in baseball. They've won World Series. They can do it again. They're going to spend money not only to bring him in, but they're going to be back on top.
They may have had the worst record in baseball last year. I don't think they're the worst team in baseball, that's for sure. Page, points, FaceTime.
Breaking news on Around the Horn for all you people, not only in Colorado, but all of you people that come to Colorado for recreational purposes, and you know what I'm talking about, skiing and all of the great things that go on in Colorado. In-N-Out Burger is joining us in Colorado. This will be the 6th state in the country. Everybody loves In-N-Out Burgers. I can't wait for a double animal style. So I just want all of you to think about moving to Colorado because now we've also got In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, all right, Woody Page.
Love the
What a burger.
I'm booking
Tonight in Washington,
Great
D.C.,
hiking.
Special Olympics Night of Trees game. Where are my Special Olympic athletes? Can't wait to see you guys tonight. We're on a 71.5-hour break. We'll see you guys on Monday. Let's stay around the horn.
Happy Hour is presented by Sky Vodka. Please drink responsibly.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. A British newspaper conducted an interview with a sex robot.
Tony Kornheiser, funny. I don't remember even giving an interview.
Okay, that is so cheesy. It's so cheesy.
What's wrong with that?
It's awful.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Sex robot.
Like you didn't get one at half price on Black Friday? Like you didn't do that?
I waited till Cyber Monday.
Completely ridiculous. Of course you have. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Cowboys win, Jimbo Fisher leaves, and Tennessee gets even messier. But we begin today with Tiger Woods once again shooting in the 60s. Despite faltering a bit through the last 3 holes, Tiger finished